welcome to Balioz.com. I'm Kaitlyn Isham, and today we have a multi-talented Melbourne-based lawyer and social worker. Welcome Molina Swarup Asthana with us.
Thank you.
Molina is one of the leading Indian origin lawyers in Australia who has been recognized among the top 50 Indian community members. She has also received the Victorian Multicultural Award for excellence in community service. In addition, Molina has won 2 awards at the Indian Executive Club Awards in 2013, the Young Executive of the Year Award for females. She also received the prestigious Person of the Year Award, which was given by the Honourable John Howard, ex-Prime Minister of Australia. We are so pleased to have her today on Balioz.com. Welcome again, Molina.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Oh, no worries. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a Principal Solicitor with the Victorian Government Solicitor's Office, and my area of practice is commercial, and I work on major government projects. Before I worked with the government, I was working, at the two top tier firms in Australia, and in my previous life in India, I was a lawyer at the Supreme Court of India as well. And I also sit on the board of a few community organizations working on various issues that affect the South Asian and the General Asian communities in Australia.
Very impressive, I must say. You're like Superwoman.
Thank you.
So why did you move to Australia?
My husband is from Australia. So after we got married, I decided to move to Australia. He was always from here. His family was from here, and I thought, all right, I'll move.
Did you think there was like more opportunity living in Australia and raising a family here versus India?
I'm not sure about that. There's pros and cons to living in either of those countries. I think you can make a good life wherever you are, and I guess it's where your home, where your heart is. Your home is where your heart is.
Yeah,
so
fair
yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Was there any struggle in establishing yourself in the legal field in Australia?
Yes, there was, because the Indian law degree is not recognized as directly as such in Australia. So you have to go through an accreditation process. When I came to Australia, I did a Masters of Law from Melbourne University. And then I applied to get accredited as a legal practitioner here, and I was asked to do a few more undergrad subjects again, and also training with another law firm, which can be quite daunting. But luckily, I got a job at one of the big law firms, and they let me take time off to do the subjects as well. So I finished all that in 8 months, and since then, it's been going pretty well.
Oh, 8 months, that's not that bad. So you have achieved so much in a short span of time in Australia. You have dedicated your time to the community service as well. How do you manage all this being a mom on top of all that, and married and running? How do you do it?
It's a juggling act. You really have to juggle, but I think you need a supportive family, which I do have, and you've got to have the commitment to do it. So if you have the commitment, you just find the time, and what I try to do is also sort of fit in my professional and community obligations together as well. So there's some synergies there, and I try and sort of mix them up so that I don't have to spend double the time, but I can effectively manage it, use my skills to be able to do the community work as well. So I think you sort of, that helps me achieve that balance.
Yeah, I can learn a lot from you. What are the issues that the Indian community face in Australia? Which areas do you focus in terms of community work especially?
So there are quite a few issues that we face as a diaspora, and I think one of the big issues is domestic violence. There has been instances of a huge number of cases where there has been violence against women in the Indian community, even resulting in death. So it's been extreme cases. That's one area that I do work in, and trying to lobby for change, and also see if how we can help these women out. Of course, there's issues with the youth. There's students who come here, and they are exploited sometimes by businesses. They're not paid well, and there were instances in the past where there was violence against these students as well. And then there's the issue of isolation for people who come here, family pressures, financial pressures of establishing yourself, the lack of family support. And one of the other issues that I've been working on has also been the issue of integration of migrant communities within the mainstream Australian community. So these are some of the issues that I have been focusing on.
Do you think women from the Indian diaspora are being recognized for the contribution they're making in Australia, or is it very less and the Indian women need to do much more support to grow in the right direction?
I think there is a lot more that can be done. There is quite a few very smart women out there. Some of them have been recognized. In fact, a friend of mine was Telstra Woman of the Year last year, Businesswoman of the Year. There are a few others who are doing really well and they have been recognized, but there are many who are unsung heroes. They are doing so much for the community, but they're still working at the grassroots level, but there's not enough recognition. But I also feel that there's women who they find it difficult to come out sometimes. They need that push, they need that encouragement that can be provided by the Indian community itself, or it can be provided by the wider Australian community in terms of recognizing some of the achievements, even if they're minor.
Okay, great. Tell us about the work that you have done with the Asian Australian Alliance.
So Asian Australian Alliance is a grassroots movement which consists of various subcommittees working towards common goals. Our main focus is to see how Asian Australians can fit into mainstream Australian and go up higher. There's a bamboo ceiling that exists. As all of us know, there's a certain level that we can attain. Beyond that, it is much harder for us to sort of go up in any profession, whether it be politics or law or media or sports. So the Asian Australian Alliance is focusing on these issues. So we've got various committees. We've got LGBTI committee, which is the first of its kind. We are working on the issues of Asian LGBTI community, and it's massive. It's bigger than the Australian community because their culture doesn't permit them to come out with it. Then we've got the women's forum where we're working on issues affecting the South Asian women in Australia. How do we promote them? How can their problems be resolved? We've got a academic group, then we've got a youth group working on the student issues and exploitation of students and also how they can progress in Australian community.
Oh, that's amazing. So what is your view on the racism issue, especially that the Indian space here? Is it an issue that needs more focus and discussion in the mainstream media, or is it something blown out of proportion?
I think it's a bit of both. There is racism. But in terms of overt racism, I don't face it every day. I would call it more of an unconscious bias, which is more like a prejudice, or it could be stereotyping, or it could be just sort of some behavior that seems to be people find funny, like mimicking you, which is not funny for others. So there is that kind of racism, if you can call it racism, that definitely exists. So the media needs to focus on issues that are really big and that are affecting the population, and not just do it for the sake of getting some publicity out of the whole thing. The other thing about racism is that it goes both ways. I think it's an equal obligation on the part of migrants to integrate or assimilate with the community as well. They need to learn how to, they need to respect the culture that they've come into as well. So we've got one of the organizations that I'm with, we have a program called Mutual Cultural Respect, where we work with focus groups and talk about, give them a scenario, new migrants a scenario, and tell them how would you react in a situation like that. And then we talk about how it is over here, how it is in their culture, tell them the legal aspects of it, the social, the how they fit in and what they should be doing. So I think that's equally important as well.
I'll definitely have to agree with you on that, being from America. Like, I don't feel like there's racism, but they always have to ask about the gun laws and are all Americans bad? Just a stereotype.
It's just it's not everyone's alike, so not everyone's going to be doing the same thing. So, but
I do feel like they're very welcoming to other cultures, so I'll have to agree with you on that. Indians have become one of the largest immigrant groups in Australia, yet the representation of Indians in the media and mainstream politics is quite low. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I was talking about the bamboo ceiling, and this is what it is. There is not enough representation in all areas, whether it be media, whether it be politics, whether it be legal. In media, there's very few names from the Asian community or South Asian or Indian community that you hear of, and those who are probably second generation or have been here for a couple of generations. And even in politics, there's only one Indian politician who's a senator, and even in the upcoming elections, and her name has been put as number 4 in the list, and she might not win. In terms of, I work in the legal industry. We don't have any judges in the no judges that are of Indian origin. There was one, and he's retired, and there's nobody else, and there's no partners in senior law firms. So we are working on these issues, and we're hoping that there would be a change soon.
I hope so, yeah. Molina, apart from being a lawyer and social worker, you're also an athlete participating in half marathons. How did you get into this? Also, does the lack of participation of the South Asian women in sports concern you?
Yeah. So I used to run a bit in India as well. But when I moved to Australia, obviously there's better conditions for running. There's running tracks, and you have people who are running, so you get motivated. I started with short distances, and then in the last 4 or 5 years, I think it really picked up. The place where I was working on a project, there was a running group, and we used to go out at lunchtime for lunchtime runs. And some of the people there had done marathons or half marathons, and that inspired me. And then so I just sort of started doing that, and since then there's no stopping me. I'm hoping to do the Great Ocean Half Marathon this year. So.
Well, not only that, but you said you might join someone else to run from like Perth all the way to Sydney?
No, it's actually in India. There's a friend of mine who's doing a run from the west of Australia, west of India to the east of India, all across in 90 days. She's probably going to do 50 kilometers every day, and it's supported by World Vision, and she'll be doing community work on the way as well. So I'm hoping to be able to join her when she's doing that run.
That would be really cool for Balayaz to cover, hint, hint. Lastly, Molina, tell us what your future plans are in terms of your profession and community work.
Yes, I want to continue doing community work, and I want to excel in my profession as well, and I want to combine both of them and see where I go with that. Hopefully a role in the judiciary would be very welcome. Otherwise, I would hope to get some sort of a government role at the higher level, a commissioner. That's what I aim to do. I aim to achieve, because I want that I feel that way I will be able to contribute much more to the community, inspire more people. But whatever I do, I'm sure I will. I just enjoy sort of doing what I'm doing. I just want to keep enjoying that and excelling in that.
Well, that is so amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Just sitting and talking with you. You are such an inspiration. I can't even see you doing anything better because you've done so much. And I do believe you're a really good role model for, women in Australia to look up to. So thank you for being you, and keep on doing the good work.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
So I've been Kaitlyn Isham. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great day.